Cristian, big 3-1 victory over LAFC back in the West Final there. A lot of national pundits thought it was an upset. You guys didn't think it was an upset though, right?
Well, I mean, we went over there to get a result, and we did so. We didn't, follow along on any of the social media stuff. All the publicity the game was getting, and we were there to do our job, and we came out with what we with what we as a team expected, and we were there to finish off the job and get back from the business trip and get into a final.
Statistically and in so many other ways, people call them the best attack of all time, 85 goals. Vela had 34. What tactically did you guys do to shut them down and shut Vela down specifically?
Well, number one, you have two guys that scored or had huge numbers, huge stats. So number one, you want to shut those two players down and make other players hurt you. And in this game, I don't think the other players on their team hurt us. But it was a team effort and it was a team performance, and we were there to obviously shut down a couple players, but shut down their whole team. Putting pressure on their midfield, which really makes the game for them. So it wasn't more about shutting down the best attacking team in the history of MLS. It was more so getting a good result and defending well as a team. And scoring our chances, the few chances that we had, I thought our team was brilliant.
And now you're coming home to what's going to be a crowd of 69,000 plus. What's it going to be like to walk out in front of the largest crowd CenturyLink has ever seen for a soccer match?
Well, I think it's been a long time coming. We've wanted this for such a long time, and the fact that we have it at home, we have to take full advantage of this. You don't get opportunities like this very often, so embrace it, enjoy it, and then take full force. Show the league why you're hosting and why you want to win so bad. So playing in front of our fans is going to be extra special. And hopefully we can raise a trophy in front of them.
Brian's talked about how he wants it to still stay a normal week. There's going to be a lot of stuff like tickets and everything else that goes along with a cup final. How normal a week are you able to keep it here over the next 8 days?
Well, it'll be interesting. Obviously, a lot more media stuff.
Sorry in advance.
a lot of that stuff is going to come into play. We have 10 days to prepare. We had a few days off. We were able to rest our bodies and forget about soccer for a few days, and it's been great so far. But obviously, hosting it becomes even busier. Families, friends coming to the game. But it's what you want. We're all stress-free here. We want to win, and we want to enjoy our soccer in front of our fans.
You got the 3-2 win back in April against Toronto FC. What do you remember about that game? What challenges does Toronto pose for you guys here coming up?
Well, it was a back-and-forth game. I remember Josie Altidore having a monster game. Pozuelo, one of the first games of the season for him, and he was. If I remember, he had 2 assists to Josie. So if those two guys play at the same time, we got to watch out for that. But an open game, we'd like it to be a little bit more controlled, especially playing at home. We don't need to concede any goals at home because we can expect to score goals. I think that's the mindset going forward. But it's a tough team, regardless of who plays. They're here for a reason, and obviously it's going to be nice to see them. I think there's mutual respect between the two clubs. Getting into the finals 3 times out of the last 4 years. So I don't think there's a huge hatred. It's more respect at this point.
You guys, with the condensed playoff format, obviously it's a lot of fun to watch. How was this experience different? I mean, obviously you ended up in the right spot that you wanted to, but as a player, how was the experience different?
I mean, I think it was still stressful as a player being in the final, whether you're hosting or not. We had this similar instance in 2016 where Montreal went up 3-0 in the first half. Toronto came back in that same game, and then at home Toronto did what they had to do, but Montreal had the majority of the lead for the series, and we were going to host at that point, and then Toronto ended up winning. So a little bit of that. I mean, it was pretty stressful. Obviously, we want to play at home in front of our fans. So rooting for some of my friends in Toronto was cool, and it was obviously special to see them.
I read a little bit. I like that, but I read a little bit as far as the games that you went through. The Dallas, and
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's condensed. So how was that different?
Oh, I mean, it's obviously tough to come back from national team, 2 games, all of a sudden play 3 days later, and then play another 3-4 days later. It's tough on the body, so it's been a nice 10-day break.
Yeah.
We've been able to, like I said, step away from the game and focus on other things and rest our bodies. So, yeah, it's been tough. It's part of the sport, though. It's part of why we love to play, and hopefully we'll be just fine for the MLS Cup Final. But it's the reason why we've been playing for 20-something years already.
Is there anything that you can relate that to? I know you've played in big games before, but so many in such a condensed amount of time, and also almost equal pressure on each one.
Maybe growing up in tournaments, when you play 2 games in one day, that's probably the one thing that I can compare it to. Obviously, the stresses are a little bit different, the pressure is a little bit different, but the fact that you growing up, you play 2 games in one day is pretty bizarre to me.
Different feel, just going out to practice with your teammates, knowing this is championship week, that there's just this is the biggest thing, right?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, we expect a big crowd, obviously, and it's the biggest stage of the year, so I'm sure guys are nervous even coming out to training and enjoying every moment while other teams are out. But certainly, every practice matters. Every drill that we do, we have to take it as serious as we can, because it'll prepare us as much as we can for the final.
What was the scene like at Jordan's house when De Leon scored to put Toronto up? And I guess, what was your just reaction to seeing that happen and realizing that you guys are actually going to be hosting this?
Well, I think once Nick De Leon came on, Brad Smith went berserk. He was happy. He's a big Nick De Leon fan. I don't know. He thought he was really good when he came out here, and he's always been a fan of him. So when Nick came on, Brad was stoked, and the fact that he pulled that goal together, I mean, Brad was celebrating more than anybody. It was great to see.
Did he predict that was going to happen, or does he claim that he predicted it?
Maybe, I don't know. I don't remember him saying much, but I remember him just saying Nick every single time he touched the ball. He's like, "Yay, Nick!" He was stoked that he was on the field.
A couple more for Cristian, guys.
Jordan's a guy from the Seattle area. How have you seen him kind of embrace that role as kind of the hometown hero?
Well, I think any spotlight that gets thrown at Jordan, he'll brush it off, and I think that's a very Seattle thing to do. It's humble. He's just so humble, and he's willing to deal with all the pressure that comes his way. But the minute that he gets a compliment, he brushes it off. So I think that's what Jordan is all about, and I think that ties into Seattle. His personality, his willingness, his openness to learn, to adapt, to engage with all different types of people is great to see. And obviously, I'm a big Jordan Morris fan, and we're very lucky to have him on this team for sure.
You talked a little bit about the preparation going into this championship week. And you've been in a couple of MLS finals, obviously, previously. How is it going to be different preparing for the game, not so much on the field, but dealing with all the off-the-field distractions coming up, especially since you're now hosting as opposed to being on the road?
Yeah, I think hosting's a little different. Having a lot of friends and family in town, getting hit up with for tickets, all that stuff, but that's all part of it. And you as a professional, you play in front of big crowds, so I don't think that's anybody's biggest stress. For us, I think the biggest stress is going to be on the field and the preparation that we do on the field. But all the off-field stuff, I think everybody's pretty pretty chill about everything going on because we're hosting. Obviously, when we're on the road, I think people are a little bit more upset because we're not playing in front of our fans.